Hey there, welcome to the SweetGeorgia channel. I am Felicia from SweetGeorgia, and today I want to show you my progress on the Jethro cardigan. Hey there, thank you so much for being here. I am Felicia from SweetGeorgia Yarns, and today I want to talk about the crochet granny square cardigan that I've been making called the Jethro Cardigan, and I am so shocked that I've made it this far. So as I shared before, I have been making these granny squares out of 3 different packages of our Party of 5 Superwash DK mini skeins, and I finished making 36 different crochet granny squares. None of these squares are identical. They are all completely different. And so this is basically the back piece of the cardigan, and I have 2 front pieces that are coming together right now. So this is going to be one of the front pieces. That's going to be a front piece, and I'm currently finishing the other front piece. I never thought that I would make it this far because I always got stuck on the idea of how to join all of the crochet squares. Now, when I finished all 36 of those granny squares, I was kind of stuck for a minute. They sat there in a pile for maybe a couple of weeks because I wasn't quite sure how to put them together. How do you join them together? And then luckily, Tanis has provided some resources with her pattern. And so one of the resources is a video that you can find on YouTube for how to join as you go. And so I watched the join as you go tutorial, and it was fantastic. So now I know how this all works, and it's so much easier than I thought. So I feel like what I really needed was a map. I needed a map of knowing once I do this, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen with the crochet granny squares. And so I'm going to show you with my half finished piece, so that way you can see sort of how this all comes together, because you just need to have a mental picture for how these squares get joined together. So this is my second side. This is my second front that I'm putting together. And so I have 4 squares on the bottom, 4 squares on the top, and they all need to be joined together in this order. So the way that I start is I started in this bottom right-hand corner, and I do my granny square edge, and then I turn the corner, and then I come down and basically do granny square on 3 sides of square number 1. And then I do a chain 2, and then do half of the corner of the second square. As I'm making the granny square edge of this second square, I'm connecting it to the hole that's created right here. So to that little gap, that little space, I'm connecting it there, and then I do my 3 doubles in here, and then I connect it into the next square, and so that's how I'm connecting these 2 squares together. And then I get to this corner and I skip the corners. So I make the corners, but I don't attach the 2 corners. I basically curve around, and then again, coming down, doing the 3 sides of square number 2. Do a little chain 2, and then do this side, leave this corner hanging open, and then come back down and then do this side. And then rather than doing all 3 sides of this last square, I'm just doing 2 sides of the last square. And then I start the second row. So then I join all the way across with the first square of the second row. Then I pick up the corner that was left behind, picking up the corner, and then continuing on with joining the second square. And I'm just kind of joining along this way. And as I make it to the corners, I'm sort of going diagonally and picking up the corner that was hanging open. Okay, make it all the way to this side, and then I'm going to do the same as what I did in the previous row. I'm going to go around 3 sides of this first square, then I'm going to pick up the little flappy corner of the previous row, join those together, and then continue on this side and continue making my granny and picking up and joining as I go here. And again, if I was going to have another 3rd row, then I would leave these corners flapping open. But because this is the end of my row, I'm going to join these 2 corners as I make my granny square, and then go across, come down, join this way, go across, come down, join, go across, and then once I finish this corner, then because I'm done with this collection of squares, I will finish this edge, and finish all along the bottom. And basically then what I will have is this. Okay. And so this is the first side that was finished. So the whole thing, it's got Granny all the way around, and it is ready to go. So for whatever reason, when I was working in my mind, I was always trying to think, how do you join these squares? Do I join them all in the middle by sort of chaining them all along this way? And then do I have to chain 1, 2, 3 times across separately? But this join as you go technique, you can just keep, it's almost like you're doodling across this whole thing in one continuous line, and you never have to break yarn and you never have to stop. You can just keep going. So I think that the genius thing about this is now, like, even if you didn't want to make a cardigan, you could still make a beautiful blanket. And this works so perfectly well. Just carry a bag full of random colored yarn and be making granny squares everywhere you go. And then once you have a giant stack of them, just join them like this. It's the easiest thing. I feel like I've just discovered how cool this can be. So when I finished all the granny squares, I had these 36 granny squares. I had them in piles and everything like that. And part of the reason why I let them sit for a bit was because I wanted to block them. And I wasn't quite sure how I would block them or if I should block them. And I really wanted to thank my friend Lisa for lending me her blocking board. This board combined with these little pegs, you stick the pegs into the holes, and then you can basically create a blocking board to make all of your granny squares the exact same size. So if you wanted all of your squares blocked to the exact same size, then you could start with that. Honestly, because I was in such a rush to actually get to joining them, I didn't block these squares, but I'm going to block another set of squares that I'm currently working on. But these squares I just joined together, and none of these have been blocked yet. But now that this entire piece is finished, I'm going to wet block this whole thing and measure it out, pin it out so that the whole front will be one size, and make sure that the other second front will be exactly the same size. And so I'm going to block 3 finished joined pieces, and hopefully they will block out nice and flat. So now that the back is done, the front is done, and the second front is almost done, I will join the edges here. I'm going to join the shoulders of the cardigan, and then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up and hang it on the knitting machine to basically finish it and knit the sleeves on the knitting machine. Now, in order to do that, I realize that I actually haven't knit any machine swatches using the DK weight yarn, using the LK 150. So that is basically the next step, is that I have to take the machine, knit a bunch of swatches at different gauges, different tension dial and stitch dial and all that kind of stuff, so that I can figure out exactly what settings I need in order to produce the gauge that will match Tanis's pattern. And once I know that, then I can just basically convert all of her knitting instructions for the sleeve. Rather than knitting them in the round, I will knit them flat and then seam them at the end of the day. And then theoretically, I will have a finished garment. I mean, I probably will still have to pick up and knit ribbing for the edges, and then it'll be done and I can wear it. I'm very excited to get this done. So this is easier than I thought it could ever be, but I'm so proud and so excited that it's getting close to the end, that it's almost done, and I love it. I kind of want to make another one. Maybe I'll make a blanket, maybe I'll make one that goes on my couch or something like that. But I just love all the colors, the way that you can play with colors and mix and match different colors. Not any one of these squares is the same as any other square. They are all different, and that has been the most fun part of all of this. I ended up using all 3 of the Party of 5s for these 36 granny squares. I used up almost every single last inch of yarn. The only mini skein that I didn't use was the color Pineapple, because it was a little bit more bright than all of these other colors, but these colors all mixed really, really well together. And so just taking that one mini skein out was totally fine. If you wanted to, you could replace it with a different mini skein and try a different color, but in this case, I liked all of the squares that I got at the end of the day. So just want to give you some encouragement. If this is something that you might be interested in making as well, you can do it. It's actually easier than you think, and joining them is amazing. So really, really excited about all of this. Thank you so much for watching. That is it for today. I hope to share with you the finished garment in a couple of weeks or in a couple of days or as soon as I can. And if you would like to learn how to crochet your own granny square, we do have a tutorial showing you how to do that. And if you want to learn more about crochet, you can find us in the School of Sweet Georgia. We have a whole entire series of classes on learning how to crochet from the very beginning, to learning how to make granny squares, to learning how to crochet lace, to learning how to crochet garments. So if you want to join crochet, that is the place that you can come and join us. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.